The teams are in for the match between Essendon and GWS, and there's a few changes for the Bombers, including more bad injury news from training today. Could you believe it? We're going to go through it all in this video right now.
See the Bombers fly up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play the...
So let's have a look at the team. So GWS first, Cornelio comes back into the side for them, Toby McMullen and Max Grzuski. Out is Josh Kelly and Jesse Hogan, two of their better players, and Harvey Thomas. I don't think they'll lose too much with Hogan out of the side. They've got a pretty strong forward line. They've got Stringer down there. They've also got Aaron Cadman, who has really come into his own over the last few weeks. He's really starting finally, after it looked like he might be a bit of a bust, but it's starting to finally live up to his billing as that number one draft pick, and he'll be a good target for them down there. He is really in good form at the moment. Their back line as well is really good. Lockie Ash is a very underrated player, one of the top 15 players in the competition, and Connor Iden and Jack Buckley down there in the back line as well. Such versatile defenders. They can take defenders of any, they can take forwards of any size. That's what I like about those players from GWS. So they just really are good all over the field, and they're getting better and better, as they often do as the season goes on. So for the Bombers, we have 6 changes to the side. So we'll go through them. So Matt Guelphy comes back into the side. Some say he was a bit stiff to be out of the side last week, but he comes back into the side. Dylan Shield comes into the side. Vigo Visentini comes in. As I predicted earlier, I thought this was pretty much common sense, given that it is a 5-day break for the 37-year-old Todd Goldstein, and it wouldn't make sense to play Todd Goldstein on the 5-day break. Jade Gresham comes into the side. Archie Perkins gets a reprieve after getting a bit of a run in the twos last week. He did okay, Perkins, for those that want to know. He got about 20 possessions in the reserves. And look, at the end of the day, sometimes when you're out of form, you just need a little bit of a run. And this is going to be a really important game for Perkins. And Liam McMahon, first gamer, comes into the side. So well done to McMahon. This has been a long time coming. He's a mature age player. He's not old. He's 23 when I say mature age. So he's still got a potential 10-year career ahead of him. He's been delisted by Collingwood. He's been on Carlton's VFL list, and just hasn't quite been able to crack it for a senior berth. And I think it's much, much deserved. And I actually think he suits our team pretty well. If you actually look at our forwards, we have Peter Wright, Archer May, who are, May's a bit of a crash and bash forward. Peter Wright is a player that, at least in theory, should be taking contested marks. McMahon is more of a traditional full forward. That's what I like about him. He's kind of lean, lanky, knows how to mark the ball on the lead, which is something that Caddy's been struggling a little bit with. I mean, Caddy's more of an athletic type, which is why we're so excited about him. But McMahon is a very traditional full forward, can mark on the lead, accurate kick, and he's just got good nous around goals. And he is going to be, I think, a good player for us. I hope he stays on the list at the end of this year, because I think he's got a future ahead of him, averaging about 3.5 goals in the VFL. So out of the side, Ben Hobbs with a groin injury. Todd Goldstein is managed, as we said, not surprising that he was going to be managed off a 5-day break. Nate Caddy is also managed, according to the club. They said he had a bit of general soreness. Like I said, he's really just being rested. If it was an important game, he'd play. It's just a rest for him. He's had a long season. Setterfield, of course, with a pretty serious injury that could be anywhere between 6 and 9 months with the foot. I actually didn't realise it was that bad, but it could potentially be at worst 12 months. I don't think it'll be that much, but it certainly could be between 6 and 9 months. Martin, of course, with the ACL. And unfortunately, Elijah Tsatas has done a hamstring at training. It's just unbelievable, these soft tissue injuries, aren't they? I mean, we have had a lot of bad luck with non-soft tissue injuries, it has to be said, but we've just had far too many soft tissue injuries this year. About 12 players have had soft tissue injuries, and a couple of them on more than one occasion. So this is a blow for him, obviously, because he's trying to stay... Well, I think he will... If he doesn't stay on the list, he'll end up somewhere next year. He's an AFL player, and whether he gets traded or what, but he had an opportunity to prove himself over the next few weeks, and he's going to be out for at least a couple. We don't know how serious it is, they haven't said, but he did it at training, and he's gone for at least, well, it's a hamstring injury, at least you'd think maybe 3 weeks. So we'll just have a look at the team on paper. From the back line, Andrew McGrath, Jaden Laverty and Archie Roberts. Archie Roberts was one of our few players last week who actually could hold his head up high, had over 30 possessions and was generally pretty good. Mason Redmond, I'd love to see Mason Redmond lift. He just hasn't quite been the same since that contract, has he, guys? Every time I watch him, I think, well, he's okay, but he was really quite something special a couple of years ago, and then he just really hasn't quite come on. So hopefully he can recapture that form. Jordan Ridley and Angus Clark. Some of our younger players, I think, like Clark, will be looking for a better game today. Some of our younger players were a bit down last week. Perhaps not surprising. They're going to be inconsistent, so hopefully he bounces back. On the wing, Xavier Dersma, Zach Merritt in the centre, and Luaman Lual, who retains his spot in the side, who, once again, he, like Clark, had a bit of a down one last week after showing quite a lot, I thought, earlier in the Gold Coast game 2 weeks before that. I thought Luaman was really, really good with his attack on the ball, his disposal choices, all that sort of thing. So under the roof at Marvel, I think you'd expect a better game from Luaman. On the half-forward line, Archie Perkins gets a reprieve. So this is probably the most important game of... Well, you could argue it might be the most important game of Archie Perkins' career. He's been dropped. He's coming back into the side. Been dropped from a team that had, 14 injuries. So what does that say? He's back into the side. He's in the starting lineup. If he's got to decide if he really wants to be an AFL footballer, and I did hear an interview with him once, and I'm paraphrasing. I couldn't find it. I think it might have been on Triple M, and he was saying that he didn't. He grew up not really loving the game, but he happened to be pretty good at it. And I thought to myself when I heard that, that's a really odd thing to hear, because you often see this a little bit. Some players are born with natural ability, natural gifts, and they might not necessarily love something, but they give it a go because they're talented at it. And you just wonder if someone doesn't really love the game, but they're giving it a bit of a go because they were kind of good at it at junior level, whether they can stay committed for a 10-year career. Of course, they might be able to stay committed for 1 year or 2 years, but you do wonder if someone doesn't really love the game, whether they're going to really stick with it for the full 10 years. So this is a really, really important game for Perkins, and all eyes will be on him to see how he goes. Peter Wright at centre-half forward. Gresham, another important game. I think his spot on the list and his position is kind of in jeopardy. He would certainly be looking at... The club would certainly be looking at offers from other clubs if they're available. Forward line, May, who's been pretty good, will hold his spot. McMahon, so the two mid-season draft picks occupying 2 of the 3 spots across the full forward line, and Isaac Kako. So amazingly in this game, all 4 of the mid-season draftees are playing. So we've got 4 players playing in this game that weren't even on the list earlier in the season, which is amazing. Who would have thought that? Imagine if you looked ahead in April to the GWS game now and you saw 4 players on it, you probably wouldn't even know who they were. The interchange bench, Jackson Pryor, Matt Guelphy, Zach Johnson, Lachlan Blackiston, who has been improving every week in a position that he's not familiar with, and Oscar Smart. So Blackiston and Smart rounding out the 2 mid-season draftees, joining May and McMahon, all 4 of them in this side. Vigo Visentini, Dylan Shield coming back into the side, and Sam Durham make up the following division. And the emergencies are Menzies, El Hooley and Archer Daywicks. I thought El Hooley very, very unlucky. He was one of our best players in the VFL on the weekend, and I thought he was perhaps... look, I probably would have had him in the team ahead of maybe someone like Lual, maybe even instead of Smart, someone like that. But end of the day, he's an emergency, and we'll see how that goes. So that is the team. What do you guys think of that team? Can we take it up to GWS and at least be competitive? I don't think anyone's expecting us to win, but can we be competitive? They are, in the end, AFL players, and they do have pride, and they will be looking to bounce back. So I'm just hoping that we can... Look, I don't expect to win, but there's lots of people out there making fun of Essendon. Fair enough. Saying, we're going to lose by 100 points. It'd be nice to, stick it up those people, not by winning, because I don't expect to win, but at least, to put on in prime time a competitive performance. At the very least, a competitive performance similar to the Gold Coast game. So what do you guys think? I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and as always, go Bombers.